Guys, this is Bob from Electric Blue Station. I just thought I'd do like a basic video just on detailing black wash and some dry brushing, show before and after. So this right here is a piece just from Star Wars. It's like the part of the cantina front that you can get off various websites from Hasbro. Which wanted to show you before, show you one of the container crates before, and we'll see what it looks like after the black wash. The more I got to thinking about this, I should probably just show you guys what I do. It's not rocket science. You can just take any kind of acrylic based product. So I got black wash, you use black paint, you can get some water. And you don't necessarily have to use water with it. You could use just the straight up black paint. It's just harder to get off. And with something like this, you don't have to worry about too much because this is just the injection molding. So you don't have to worry about any color or anything flaking off because there's literally nothing that's on here. So I'll just take it, kind of dip it in there. And this doesn't have to be pretty at all. This is actually more of a messy thing. I'll usually just dip it into the paint itself, and then I'll just dip it into the water. And like I said, there's various ways of doing this. And then I'll just take it and I'll just run this over. Now this is probably more thick than most people want it. But I tend to like it slightly thick because it tends to get into the cracks better. So that way it will you'll get a more pronounced wash. Now if you had a layer of like spray paint over this and you were doing this, I definitely would not recommend doing a thicker wash with it because it is going to take off all that spray paint and it is not going to work. But with this I don't have to worry about that. And do you waste more acrylic paint doing this way? Yeah, of course. But I've got plenty of it. And acrylic paint, you don't need to use high-end stuff. You can just use the cheap stuff. All right. And what I will tend to do then, some people have set for a little bit, but then after that, then I tend to just, you can take anything like a old raggedy cloth, piece of old t-shirt, or just even, you can even just take paper wipes and you just run it over this. Now if you do a thicker wash, then obviously you need to be careful because you're going to be wiping off a lot more. And then you just kind of play around with it and see what level you want with it. By level, I just mean how dark you want it. Because I want some of the colors still to retain just from the outside structure. I still want that tan color. I just want these cracks filled in. And you can press reasonably hard with this because you don't have to worry about anything scraping off. So you guys get the idea. But I'll get this all the way done and come back to it, and then I'll show you a technique of dry brushing. Now I'm just going to show you how to do a dry brush, which is different than black wash. Black wash involves just taking black paint, usually mixed with some water, and just putting it
over the piece so that way it goes into the cracks, and then you rub it off the superficial areas so it just leaves the cracks and accentuates the cracks of the piece. Now dry wash just involves where you're accentuating the topmost portion of the piece, and I'm going to use that with some Crafters acrylic tan stuff here. And then the way you do that, it takes a little more technique. You just want to take it, put a little paint on there, and then I tend to use just paper towel. You can use cloth. What you want to do is get it so most of it's off, but you have just a touch that's still on there, and I'll show you why. So when you do it, you want to, when you dry brush, you just want it to go lightly over it, so that way it hits the highlights of the piece. Now it might be a little bit hard to see this. And then if you feel like you need more paint, you can always just lightly put more on there. And if you put too much on, you can usually just dab it right off. Might be a little hard to see, but you can kind of see hitting the highlights here. And your object doesn't cover the entire thing, just kind of lightly hit it in areas. And if you hit it too much, you can just take your finger, kind of lightly go over it. You kind of get the feel for it. It's just a light process. And I try to hit it in various areas, various angles, so that way it gives you that chaotic, natural pattern to it. And this may be a little bit hard to see. Let me try a little bit different lighting here. That one probably shows a little bit better, just in the yellow light. You can see the areas where I hit it with the tan. And then I'm still leaving some areas with the original molding, because I kind of want to give a weathered look, like something that's been around for a really long time. Alright, I'm going to hit this entire piece with a dry brush and I'll show you what it's like. And the very last thing I like to do is I like to hit the just a tiny portion, dry brush a tiny portion of the piece just with white highlights. So I just choose this one just because it was like an off-white color, a little bit darker than regular white. And I like to do this just to hit it helps accentuate the highlights even more. This you need to be even more careful with, because you don't want to hit it too crazy. You want to just hit it very lightly. And I usually try to like to do the corners with this, or the highest places of the piece. So you don't really want to cover, your goal isn't to lather it with it, it's more to just lightly hit it. And if you put a little too much on, then you just smear it a little bit and that just blends right back in anyways. But hopefully you can kind of see there that kind of pops things out. And it's kind of I feel it's kind of like the cherry on the top of the weathering, because it pops things pretty good. And it can give the effect of the light hitting it. Like I said, it's just that little bit. Alright, I'll finish the piece and then show the final product. Alright, and this is the finished product here. As you can see, it looks a lot more realistic. Really helps bring out the cracks. The black wash does that, brings out the cracks, and the highlights just help pop the top part of the molding. It's really neat molding, and it really comes to life after you've done the detailing with it. It really helps draw you into the diorama scene. It looks like something that's real, that's been lived in. But yeah, there it is. That's all I got. Talk to you later. Bye.